Hai semua. Okay, so kita dah sampai chapter 3 dah. I hope semua orang masih lagi okay untuk kita go on. This one bagi I adalah the easiest chapter of all dalam Math 201. So I really hope that you will enjoy the lesson. Okay, let's move. This is our learning objective. So by the end of the chapter, you should be able to, first one, explain the marginal costing. Next, explain the absorption costing, okay, or AC. Next, explain the reason for difference in profit between MC and AC. This one is theoretical part. This one is the main part where you have to prepare the profit or loss statement based on marginal and absorption costing method. Yang ni lah kita punya calculation part yang utama untuk this chapter. Next, you kena reconcile the profit because bila you prepare the profit or loss based on marginal dengan absorption, dia punya net profit figure tak sama. So, macam mana you nak samakan dia? You kena prepare a reconciliation statement. And the last one adalah to explain the advantages and disadvantages of marginal and absorption costing. Okay, kita move on. First one adalah we are going to learn about marginal costing. What is it? It is a method of costing where kita hanya akan assign only variable cost kepada produk. Dan this variable cost will be included as part of the stock valuation. The fixed production cost, kita tak akan allocate kepada produk tetapi kita akan consider dia sebagai period cost dan kita akan charge dia sebagai expenses. Okay, when we're talking about marginal, kita akan ambil variable cost sahaja untuk kira product costing. Fixed cost dia kita akan expensekan. The purpose of MC is to provide information to the management on effect of cost and revenue and the changes in volume of output in the short run. Okay, because in the short run, the fixed cost adalah fixed. So, dia tak relevan untuk kita masukkan dalam pengiraan kita. Right? And it is also known as direct costing or variable costing and it is mainly used for internal reporting purpose. I'm sure semua orang ingat lagi pasal product cost versus period cost. Kalau kita tengok kat sini, kalau melibatkan the factory cost, this is a factory. So, apa saja yang melibatkan production of the product in this factory, that is called product cost, termasuklah labor untuk convert that material into the product, the direct material itself, and also the manufacturing overhead. And the period cost usually incurred bukan sebab production. Okay. So, contoh macam selling expenses, general and admin cost, rent on headquarters. Semua yang ini berlaku di luar kilang. So, that is called as the period cost. And then, kita patah balik tentang MC tadi, marginal costing. So, therefore, in MC, the variable cost adalah product cost. Inventories are valued at variable cost. Product cost equal to direct material, direct labor campur dengan variable production overhead. Fixed cost and fixed costs are treated as the period cost. So the period cost ada fixed production overhead dan juga all the non-production costs. Okay. This is the relevance of using MC method. Kenapa bagusnya, kenapa relevannya kita nak guna marginal costing method. So first dia focus on the cost that vary with the decision. Only those that are included to make decision. Maksudnya cost yang relevan untuk kita buat putusan adalah the variable cost because the fixed cost is fixed. Decision that involve small variation from existing practices or for a limited period of time, these fixed costs are not relevant to the decision. sebab dia tak berubah kan, so dia tak relevan lah untuk buat keputusan in a short term. Fixed cost is either impossible to alter in short term ataupun manager reluctant to alter them in short term. The marginal costing is using this contribution margin concept where the contribution margin equals to sales tolak dengan the variable cost. So, the contribution margin, it refers to the excess of sales revenue over variable cost. So, this contribution margin akan provide the indication about the amount yang available untuk cover the fixed cost and also to provide profits for the company. So, the CM is a key measure of profitability. Thus, bila lebih banyak contribution margin, lebih banyaklah profit, provided that the fixed cost remain constant. Moving on to the absorption costing. Okay, this is the other method of doing costing. You can use also the absorption costing. What is it? It is a costing technique where all costs referring to variable dan juga fixed, dia akan absorb kepada production. It's also known as the full costing. Thus, the value of inventory are measured at total cost to manufacture. Okay, termasuklah the fixed production overhead, not only variable macam marginal. Therefore, the product cost will equal to the direct material, direct labor, variable production overhead dan juga fixed production overhead. Right? And what about the non-manufacturing cost? It's still treated as expenses. Yang ni tak ada beza untuk marginal ataupun absorption sebab non-manufacturing cost ni masih lagi expenses. Therefore, in absorption costing, both variable cost and fixed production cost adalah product cost. Inventories, kita akan value dia at full cost. Therefore, the product cost equal to direct material plus direct labor plus variable production overhead plus fixed production overhead. Only the non-production costs are treated as period costs. So, the period cost equals to the non-production costs. This is how both method treat the elements of cost. Ini summarize daripada yang kita tengok slide sebelum ni. Okay. So, this one adalah absorption costing. Untuk absorption costing, product cost dia akan ada direct material, direct labor, variable manufacturing overhead dan juga fixed manufacturing overhead. Dia punya period cost hanyalah variable selling and admin dan juga fixed selling and admin dan other non-production cost lah macam insurance ke, that one akan duduk dekat period cost. Untuk variable costing, also known as marginal, so the product cost dia ada tiga ni je, which is the direct material, direct labor dengan variable production overhead, whereas dia akan treat the fixed manufacturing overhead sebagai period cost dan juga ada non-manufacturing overhead sebagai period cost. Okay, clear ya? So, the difference between absorption dengan variable costing ataupun marginal costing adalah in term of how they treat the fixed manufacturing overhead. Kalau dalam absorption, dia akan treat fixed manufacturing overhead sebagai product cost. Kalau dalam marginal ataupun variable costing, dia akan treat the fixed manufacturing overhead sebagai period cost. That is the difference and it will lead to the difference in the valuation of the product cost ataupun the inventory. And we'll see the guided illustration next. Okay. Okay, these are what you are expected to do in the final exam. First one, biasanya soalan akan minta you prepare the income statement under marginal costing. Secondly, dia akan suruh you prepare income statement under absorption costing. And since dua-dua income statement ni profit dia lain, so you kena calculate over or under absorption of fixed overhead, and eventually the last one you kena reconcile the profit statement. So, bila you do this reconciliation, this income statement under marginal, dia akan tally balik dengan the income statement under absorption costing. This is the format untuk marginal costing, statement of profit or loss. So, macam ni lah you akan present you punya jawapan. Okay, but untuk my students usually I akan skip this part yang ni, variable production cost yang ada direct material dan labor ni biasanya I tak ada sebab I dah buat workings dekat luar untuk these three, direct material, direct labor dengan variable production overhead. Kita akan combine dia dekat luar, kita akan masuk dia seketul je sebagai variable production cost. Okay, so my workings should be shorter than this one. And then closing stock macam biasa kita ada juga kat sini. Nama dia, kalau you guna marginal costing, nama dia kat sini adalah gross margin. Lepas tu bila you tolak dengan variable selling, the variable admin overhead, nama dia adalah contribution margin. Because the contribution margin adalah the sales revenue tolak all variable costs. And then selepas this contribution margin, yang tinggal adalah berapa banyak duit yang untuk cover fixed cost dan juga yang boleh provide profit. So, bawah contribution margin yang tolak semua fixed cost termasuklah fixed production overhead. Dan dapatlah you punya net profit ataupun loss. Ini adalah marginal costing statement. So, the important thing is that you must be able to identify bila dapat gross margin, bila dapat contribution margin. Sebab dia punya term tak sama kalau you guna marginal dengan absorption. Next, kita akan move kepada absorption. This is absorption costing, statement of profit or loss. So, if you perasan dekat sini sama je, the sales tolak the cost of goods sold, opening stock. This one, kita ada full production cost, dia bukan variable. Okay, so my workings untuk direct material, direct labor, variable production overhead dengan fixed production overhead ni I combine into one working dekat luar. So dia akan ada full production overhead, full production cost seketul je kat sini untuk my workings. Closing stock sama, I ada juga kat sini. Gross profit, okay. This one kalau you guna absorption, dia panggil kat sini gross profit, dia tak panggil gross margin. And then you akan tolak expenses. These expenses adalah those yang the non-production overhead. Kita sepatutnya ada fixed selling, fixed production overhead ni salah ni, bukan kat sini. Sekejap I potong dia. Dia dah ada dekat atas ni kan. So this one is wrong. Kita ada fixed selling, fixed admin, variable selling, variable admin. So, you dapatlah net profit or loss kat sini. The pre-adjusted. Okay, unadjusted net profit or loss. Lepas tu kita kena adjust for over and under absorption. So, you akan compare untuk dapat over ataupun under ni. You kena compare fixed production overhead absorb. Compare dengan fixed production overhead incurred. Beza dia tu dapat dekat sini. Then barulah you dapat adjusted net profit. Okay, clear about the pro forma. This one, kalau you perasan, tadi ada adjustment for over and under absorption of fixed overhead, right? Then, macam mana kita nak kira dia? FPOH absorb adalah actual production darab dengan fixed overhead absorption rate. Fixed overhead absorption rate ni dia akan bagi dalam soalan. Actual ni pun dia akan dapat dalam soalan. So, you akan dapat satu total kat sini. Compare dengan berapa yang incurred. Incurred mesti based on normal production units. So, darab dengan FOAR. So, if you get it positive, you telah over-absorb. Terlebih absorb. So, kalau dia positif, maksudnya absorb ni lebih daripada incurred lah. So, bila dia over-absorb, you kena tambah. Kalau dia under-absorb, dia kena tolak. Okay. Right, we have reached to the guided example untuk Shiny Enterprise. They manufacture a product named Super Toy. So, these are the data untuk Januari 2018, the first month of production. So, dia kali pertama produce, first month. Dia bagi you the selling unit, dia bagi the unit yang dia produce, unit yang dia jual. Opening stock dia tak ada sebab dia baru mula production. See here, first month. And then dia bagi you the variable cost. Dia bagi you direct labor, variable overhead. Dia bagi you selling expenses. Dan dia bagi you the fixed cost. Fixed cost adalah production overhead 120,000. Normal production 30,000 units. Kalau dekat sini you perasan normal production dia sama dengan unit yang dia betul-betul produce. Selling and admin expenses untuk fix adalah 15,000. So dalam soalan you final exam dia takkan sesimpel inilah. Yang ni dah bagi extract all the information untuk you sebab dia guided example. So you don't expect this kind of question in your final exam. It should be more difficult to identify all these items. Okay? Right? And then what are you required to do is you kena prepare statement of profit or loss using both marginal and absorption costing method. The second one, the question need you to prepare the reconciliation statement. This referring to the profit reconciliation statement lah. Okay, so before preparing for your answer, I ada tips untuk you guys. You have to find out the 7 magical information supaya lebih senang you nak buat you punya SOPL under both methods. So, I dah practice guna this for few semesters and it really works. It really makes your work easier. So, the 7 magical information. Right, so the 7 information that you need to extract out from the question, whatever question that they give you, you kena keluarkan the 7 information first. First one adalah, you have to identify the selling price per unit. Second one, you kena identify berapa sales unit dia. Third, you kena identify berapa banyak production units. Number 4, you kena identify the opening inventory, berapa unit opening inventory dia. Number 5, you kena identify berapa units closing inventory. Nombor 6, you kena identify how much is the normal production units. And the last one, you kena kira dia punya production cost per unit. So these are the 7 information that you need to have before you proceed to do the SOPL for both methods. Right, based on the question, shiny tadi tu, I dah extract out dia punya information, I put in a proper table like this one. So the selling price per unit lah RM20, sales unit adalah RM20,000, production unit adalah RM30,000, opening inventory dia kosong, closing inventory dia 10,000, normal production dia sama macam production unit 30, dan dia punya production cost per unit under MC and under AC. So kalau under marginal costing, dia akan kira setakat variable cost sahaja. So you punya variable cost untuk marginal, direct material, direct labor, variable overhead. So fix ni dia tak akan masukkan. Sebab dia fix kan. So marginal tak masuk fix. So this one 0. Untuk absorption costing, dia tetap akan masukkan 3 ni. 5, 3, 1. Cumanya dia punya tambahan adalah dia akan ambil kira the fixed production overhead sebagai sebahagian daripada production cost. So dia akan tambahkan 4 kat sini. So total dia akan jadi 9 untuk marginal, 13 untuk absorption. So, bila you dah dapat the 7 information, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then you are ready to do you punya SOPL. Right, this is your statement of profit or loss under marginal costing. So, first one adalah sales. How do you get 400,000? It is the selling price per unit darab dengan the sales units. Dan this sales unit akan sama je, marginal ataupun absorption. Yang bezanya adalah dekat production cost. So, opening inventory, both methods pun akan jadi 0 sebab dia tak ada opening inventory. Next adalah the production cost. Under marginal costing, the production cost adalah 270,000. How do you get that amount? RM9 because this is the cost under marginal costing darabkan dengan 30,000 units, the production units. So, dapat 270. Then you akan tolak dengan the closing inventory is RM9 darab dengan closing dia adalah 10,000. So you dapat minus lah 90,000 here. So you will get your gross margin of 220,000 right here. And then since this is marginal costing, you kena tolak dulu semua variable cost. So you tolak lah variable non-production cost, which is the variable selling expenses of 40,000. How do you get this figure? Is 2 ringgit darab dengan berapa unit sold. So dapat 40. And then you will get your contribution margin. And after the contribution margin, you akan tolak all fixed costs. So this FPOH dengan fixed selling and admin, dia bagi dalam soalan. So you just put it there. Okay, ambil figure tu letak je kat sini. Tolak. So dapatlah the net profit under marginal costing, which is 45,000. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is a statement of profit or loss under absorption costing. Sales dia sama je, macam mana you kira sales untuk marginal, macam tu lah you kira sales untuk absorption. Opening inventory dia masih lagi 0. Untuk production cost dia 13, because the production cost under absorption lah 13. Information number 7 that you calculated. So darab dengan 30,000, so dapat 390. Closing inventory adalah 13, darab dengan 10,000. So bezanya dekat sini lah 13. Tadi 9 kan? Ni 13. So dapat 130,000 minus. So dapat gross profit of 140,000. Then selepas this gross profit, you akan tolak semua non-production cost. So the non-production cost yang pertama adalah variable selling 40,000, fixed admin and selling 15,000 right here. And then you dapatlah unadjusted profit. So next you akan add over absorb ataupun less under absorb of FPOH. So working one ni dapat 0. Nanti kita tengok working one. So since 85,000 tambah dan tolak 0, so dapatlah net profit under absorption costing is the amount of 85,000. Next, kita nak tengok working one ni. Macam mana dia kira dapat kosong untuk over or under absorb of fixed production overhead. This one adalah the determination of over and under absorption of overhead. So FPOH absorb, actual units produced, darab dengan FOAR. So you punya FOAR adalah 4 ringgit. Actual unit lah 30,000 kat sini. Here, 30,000 darab dengan 4 ringgit. And then, untuk FPOH incurred, normal units 30,000 juga. Kebetulan dia sama. Darab dengan FOAR. So, dapatlah 120. Tolak dengan 120, dapatlah kosong kat sini. So that's why lah dia punya over and under tu 0. Okay. Next adalah kita nak reconcile profit antara marginal dengan absorption. So this is a profit reconciliation statement. So the net profit under MC, okay, yang tadi tu, you akan add or less the increase or decrease in closing stock. So, how do you know the increase or decrease in closing stock? You akan compare opening dengan closing. So, kalau dia opening 0, closing 10,000, so dia increase by 10,000. So, darab dengan FOAR, so dia dapatlah net profit under AC. So, this is where the magic happen, where you can see that this profit under MC, sebenarnya dia sama, boleh reconcile balik dengan net profit under AC. So this one adalah untuk calculation kita, Shiny Enterprise tadi. Kita dah dapat net profit under marginal costing of 45,000, right? So kita akan add or less the increase or decrease in closing stock. So dia punya closing stock increase, right? Sebab opening is 0, closing is 10,000. So dia increase by 10,000 times dengan 4, which is the FOAR. So you dapat 40 here. Since dia increase, kita akan tambah. So 45 plus 40, you dapat 85. This one, 85 adalah the net profit under absorption costing. Okay. So, kita dah habis tentang the calculation. This part onwards adalah theory parts where kita akan tengok the reasons for differences in profit. Kenapa ada beza dalam profit MC dengan AC? So, first one because of the different method of stock valuation. Right, because satu tu kita guna marginal costing, satu lagi guna absorption. So, product cost pun dah berbeza. Next adalah because of the increase or decrease in the stock, which is the stock movement. Okay, stock movement pun akan menyebabkan ada perbezaan dalam profit marginal dengan absorption. And then, the over or under absorption of FPOH under absorption costing method. So, this will also cause the differences in profit under AC and MC. Right, to summarize the effect on profit under the three situations. So, kita tengok ada three situation here. What will be the effect on profit? Kalau production sama dengan sales, the profit of MC will be equal to the profit of AC. Kalau production lebih besar daripada sales, so profit of MC akan jadi lebih kecil daripada profit of AC. If the other way around, the production adalah lebih kecil daripada sales, so profit of MC lebih besar daripada profit of AC. This one adalah the advantages and the disadvantages of marginal costing, which is the theory part in your question. So, the advantages of marginal costing is it shows the relationship between cost, price, and also volume. And it is useful for managerial decision making because bila kita separatekan fixed cost dan variable cost tu, dia akan help to provide relevant information for decision making since the fixed cost usually in short term dia adalah irrelevant. And it is simple to understand, so it's easier for anyone to understand the decision made by the managers lah. Fixed costs are incurred on time basis, thus logical to expense off in the SOPL. So, since fixed cost ni usually dia akan incur based on time sebab dia fixed kan. So, sebenarnya logik je kalau kita nak expense off this thing in the SOPL. So, that is the advantages of marginal costing. The disadvantages is that sometimes it is difficult to classify such item sebagai fixed or variable. And also, it creates belief that fixed cost has nothing to do with production. Whereas somehow, dia akan ada relationship antara fixed cost dengan production. Next adalah the calculation of marginal cost and the concentration upon the contribution may lead to the firm setting price below the total cost. So, kalau kita fokus on marginal costing, usually kita akan dapat product cost yang lebih rendah. Sebab kita tak masukkan the fixed cost punya portion dalam product costing kita kalau guna marginal costing. So, ada je possibility you akan set the price di bawah total cost. So, the company will get loss lah in that sense. And this one adalah the absorption costing advantages and also disadvantages. So, the first advantages is absorption costing does not understate the importance of fixed cost in production. So, dia akan overcome the disadvantages of marginal costing just now. Fixed costs are considered as essential in production. So, absorption costing is consistent with the external reporting because fixed costs are included as part of the stock valuation. Okay, so yang untuk external reporting, fixed absorption costing ni yang kita akan guna. Kita akan guna marginal untuk managerial reporting sahaja. Selling price is set with reference to fixed cost, therefore they will not lead to underpricing. Yang ni akan overcome the disadvantages of marginal costing just now. Bila kita guna marginal cost sahaja, ada possibility yang kita akan underprice. So, kalau kita guna absorption, dia tak akan lead to the underpricing lah. Next adalah the disadvantages. AC will not be useful in planning, control and managerial decision making as costs are not differentiated into FC and VC. Some costs are ignored, especially admin, selling and distribution. And the manager use his or her intuition to make the pricing decision, as there is no direct relationship between AC and also the CVP relationship. So, habislah, that will be a wrap untuk marginal and absorption costing, right? And since practice makes perfect, so please look at this question and try to attempt those. We will discuss in next group discussion. So you are going to attempt these two questions first. Thank you for your attention. Bye.